And this is Loren Rosenberg of Your Dose of Death podcast, and you're listening to Drinking at Mo's.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' at Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin' at Mo's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go.
All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinkin' Mo's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good shit, because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the ass. Where most places you can find your audio podcast too. Hey, the YouTube channel for the podcast might be growing, but the algorithm is still a pain in the ass trying to figure that shit out. You know, where most places you can find audio podcasts too. Today, I'm excited to have with me Mr. Rosenberg from the Your Dose of Death podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. I just got to give you props that you got it on the first try, because most people, whenever they say my podcast name, they're always like, "Your daily dose of death." I'm like, that's not it. That's not it. So congratulations on being the very first person to get that right.
Yes. Love it. I always love little stuff like that.
To answer your question, Mo, I'm great. I love getting to do these because I'm always the one interviewing people or talking to the void half the time. But I like being the one interviewed sometimes. So I appreciate you reaching out and having me on. And I'm ready to have a blast here, man.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to have you on because I've been a fan of deathmatch wrestling for, good Lord, catching some of those early Cage of Death shows, and that just, like, understandably caught my eye, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is the most insane shit ever.
Of course, those shows, I mean, a lot of people grew up on CZW. So it makes sense. I was not one of those people. I was probably one of the minorities because I'm a younger dude. I'm only 28 doing this. So GCW was kind of like how I grew up. And of course, GCW showing on YouTube is exactly how I got into deathmatch wrestling. So, but I'm somewhat of a history buff, so I love looking back in history, love looking at the old Cage of Deaths. So that's really how I got into deathmatch. And I mean, as you see now, I'm not just talking about deathmatch on a stage. I am filming it too at shows. So
yeah, that is awesome. I love talking about it with people because, I mean, I've developed I'd like to think, a little bit of a following in the deathmatch community. Hell, I've run off a list in my notes here of some of, like, the bigger names that I've had on.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, I'm still, like, it still catches me off guard sometimes with, like, the first one, Alex Colon.
A former guest of Your Dose of Death as well.
Had him on a while back, and actually he was at the time investing in some new kick pads and was trying to sell and was selling off his old ones. Well, I have them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Signed and everything.
He's a man of his word. If he's gonna sell them to you, he will sign them. He'll make sure you are accommodated.
Oh yeah, no, nothing but great things to say about him. He was a fun one. The next guy on the list was actually, from his intro that I had him do on, was just entertaining as hell. But Madman Pondo.
I've not had the pleasure of speaking with Pondo. We've always crossed paths at shows. I've seen him so many times. My co-host Mike Servino, Kings Road Wrestling, is a friend of his. Like, I just never had the chance to talk to him. Just we've always crossed paths, just never.
Oh yeah, humble dude. Like I
hear
tried telling
great
him
things.
about him being a legend. He tried downplaying it, being humble, which I respect. But I was like, dude, when most people think of like a Mount Rushmore of deathmatch wrestlers, you're on there for most people.
Yeah.
One of the other people was it actually took me a little over a year to get him on.
Okay.
But John Wayne Murdoch.
The Duke, yeah, former guest of mine as well. He had it's crazy with Murdoch. I've gotten the great pleasure of getting to know him over the last few years. A guy is as some of you know, I'm a part of the Kings Road LLC as well. And Murdoch's like a prize athlete basically. So whenever he wears the swag or the merch, always gotta give him a little crap about it, but we love him.
Oh yeah,
he is a constant professional, and we'll talk a little bit later about some current stuff. He had a hell of a match this past weekend.
Oh yeah,
with Yusaku Ito, so that's one you gotta watch.
That definitely. And my last ones that I got in my notes here, all tied to H2O.
Of course.
Anthrax, Alex Stretch, and Neil Diamond Cutter.
Neil is a guy I owe a lot of what I do now to him. He's someone who taught me, and I will never forget this because I went out a year ago, more than a year ago. I went out for his show at No Man's Land Wrestling. I actually got to do commentary, sponsored the show when I was still doing sponsorships, and I got to do commentary with the one, the only Matt Tremont, which was like a holy crap moment for me.
Oh
we,
man,
we did a comedy match with actually someone who was a guest on your show, Mr. Referee Brophy. So Brophy, if you're listening to this, I know you're still 1-0 in the ring. But Neil taught me this. If you want to get into wrestling, you have to give back to it. And that can equate to multiple things. And so, it's a nicer way of saying pay your dues.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of the other two they mentioned, Stretch and Anthrax, I've seen them afar, both very talented individuals. Stretch is a guy who is a daredevil. I have never seen a guy take such nastier bumps in the deathmatch scene right now than him.
Oh God, what was it?
Him and Bateman or whatever, that table, and he just kind of.
Oh God, yeah, that
like a full exorcist or whatever, as I called it.
I'm forgetting if it was Monday Night Death or if it was Hustle
Cup. It was Hustle Cup. It was the next day after.
Yes, yeah, I remember, and I'm like, I almost yelled as I'm watching it, and I almost yelled out, "Somebody check if he's still alive." He looked like he died there.
Yeah. That was a great little show. But no, Stretch and Anthrax they're as good of a tag as they are singles guys, and I've always thought very fondly of them. All the H2O guys are great people. I mean, Brophy, as I said, is someone I consider a friend. But yeah, Neil is a guy who has taught me a lot in this business. And yes, the podcast can only take you so far. That's why we'll get into why I started doing filming at shows now, because I want to be someone who wants the art to grow. So, and like I got the great pleasure of filming Neil Diamond Cutter, and it really kind of was like that was one of my full circle moments of Mania weekend. I had a lot of full circle moments, which we'll get to a little bit later. But getting to film Neil's entrance with the Kasai gear and the goggles and just seeing him do his thing from a different lens meant a lot to me.
Oh, I can only imagine. And, some of the stuff that I was going to go into is deathmatch wrestling seems to definitely over the last few years been in a bit of a boom period. Like you see, I mean, not as much this promotion as when they first started, but
yeah,
XPW even made a return. They've kind of fell off the map.
which promotion was this?
XPW.
Okay, I kind of have my tune has changed on XPW over the months, and I'll say this because I have a few friends that work for that promotion. I know
Same.
there's a lot of controversial opinions. It's a lot of shock value stuff. And I think it's very easy in this day and age to just be like, oh, they're doing this again, or oh, they're doing. But I will say, if you can weed past the scummy, the garbage, the sometimes shock value, because again, a lot of it's very much like Attitude Era-esque booking, if you really look at it.
Very true, yeah.
But there are certain guys in that promotion that I believe are absolute stars, and someone who I've had the absolute pleasure getting to know, and is a phenomenal talent who had a hell of a match with Tremont on RPW, which I'll talk about them in a minute. But Judge Joe Dredd is a guy who has absolutely. You want to talk about a guy who's taken the brass ring, in the metaphorical brass ring, whatever you want to call it, and has taken himself to another level. It's him.
Oh,
And
most definitely.
him
I was
and
going to say.
if for those of you that are interested in Uranus and Death, one of my favorite interviews I ever did was actually with Judge Joe Dredd and Steven Jury. I've never been more scared shitless in my life. I have never been legitimately intimidated by two men, but they are both phenomenal. I mean, Judge Joe Dredd went 72 minutes in their deathmatch gauntlet not even a few months ago. Just let that sit in. 72 minutes.
In a deathmatch gauntlet, let alone just a gauntlet in general.
And you see who else was in that gauntlet? Dr. Redacted, Mickey Knuckles, Eric Ryan, Homeless Jimmy, who unfortunately he lost to Necro. A lot of modern, but a lot of legends as well on that list.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And whoever runs their social media might not like me too much because I pointed out like when the very first return of their King of the Death match.
Oh yeah, that tournament. Okay.
But before they announced anybody, I'm like, dude, you got the date, and the date had passed.
Oh yeah.
And you hadn't seen. And then they tried to tell me, no, it's not wrong. And then I sent them a screenshot of it. I'm like, here. And then very shortly after, people.
I'm not sure who runs the socials, but mistakes happen. They just either gotta take him on the chin, or you just gotta, I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, XPW is there. I will say, from what I have been told about them and what I've seen, there's potential there. But the problem is it's ups and downs, it's ebbs and flows.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely give them that.
I will give kind of a hot take, and I know Jersey fans are going to be mad at me for this. I don't know if XPW really belongs in Jersey. I know they want to expand, and I know they're trying. It's just the gates there, not good. The value, like especially when you're changing dates as well, where people have like their fan base, they travel. They're not a fan base that is local to their markets. They travel. I know a lot of people from my area in Chicago that fly out for their shows, whether it's California and or Jersey. It's just I wish they would stay more local to the California, because that was where they were prominent. That's where
they got started.
And it just I get it in this day and age. I think a lot of promotions kind of see other promotions. I won't mention who. I think we all know who we're talking about, who travel a lot, get the gates where they are. But that took years and years and years of hard work. XPW is trying to expedite that, no pun intended, to like 2-3 years. And it's just hard. It's really hard.
Nope, I can get you there. And then, I mean, you got loads of other people that heavily feature deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, going from people like promotions on huge scales, like GCW. They're doing like, holy crap, the stuff they're coming up with, both the Nick Gage Invitational and the Tournament of Survival.
Two of the biggest tournaments in the world.
The Art of War Games, that whole match.
Yeah.
I swear, one of the first GCW shows that that got me started like consistently watching them was actually one of the Art of War game shows.
Which one was it? Was it the first or the second?
I'm one to say it was the one.
I've been to every Art of War Games match. I remember them very vividly.
I believe it was the one where Mox came
number one.
After.
So it was number one. Yeah, because number one was when it was 440 versus Team GCW, and then Mox came in and got the GCW belt because Cardona lost it that night.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago for that. That was a crazy night because they literally had to have the fire marshal come because they were at capacity.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
People had to be like halted outside before they could let anyone in because the War Games match took so long to set up. So I was still inside. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying where I'm front row near the entrance. I'm not leaving.
Oh yeah.
That number 2 was very good with the tag match, and now of course I had the pleasure of being number 3 with Team Freedoms versus Team GCW. GCW is at an interesting point because I will say this: I do not envy Brett Lauderdale in the slightest.
Hey.
He has one of the hardest jobs in the world, and people give him flack for so many different things. But he understands this: growth is essential. And if you have the product that people talk about, like he had Hammerstein. Yes, Hammerstein was on a deathmatch show. Yes, Hammerstein the show itself was a little underwhelming, even though I was there, but he sold out that place. He has taken the show to many different markets, and it's really cool to see. And yes, deathmatch has kind of become more of a oddity in a way for GCW now these days. But but I'm gonna say this because I preach this to the choir, and I wish people would listen to me when I say this. Do not blame the promotion, blame the venue. I cannot stress this enough. Because not everything is like the H2O Center where they can do anything and everything whatever the hell they want. Not everything is like the punk bars of the world. Not everything is like that. Not everyone's going to be okay with, there's flying glass or there's gusset plates going into a guy's forehead. It's hard and it's expensive. Death matches are not cheap to put on. Unless you yourself know someone who has, here's a bunch of leftover light tubes. Here's it's just not cheap anymore. If this was 10 years ago, sure, it's cheap to run a deathmatch show. But GCW has navigated the waters. I mean, listen, and it's just their growth is incredible. You will never see this kind of indie growth again, maybe. It's just Brett Lauderdale is one of the most revered people in this business because he's the ultimate rags to riches story. Former referee, bet on himself, and made this ginormous promotion out of absolutely nothing, running in Howell, New Jersey, running all these places, and now he's running around the world.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. And I know people are like, they barely do death matches. Listen, I like to see you run a death match in your local VFW and see if they're okay with that. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not. And I say this because I've always loved what they do. The NGI and TOS are some of my favorite tournaments of the year.
Oh, most definitely.
And TOS feels like TOS is like the summer WrestleMania for them. It's their summer WrestleMania, and NGI is like their fall WrestleMania. Someone said once that GCW was built on the pillars of deathmatch wrestling. That still holds true.
Yeah.
It just may not be the image that you, the fan, see it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, most definitely. When you know kind of the backstory and everything, you definitely definitely becomes evident. Like, I
Of
know,
course.
people that have come from there that still pop up from time to time. We mentioned H2O in their H2O Wrestling Center.
Yeah.
I've lost kind of how many people from H2O I've had on, but I've got nothing but great things to say about that entire promotion. They've been nothing but great to me. And man, some of the stuff, they ended off 2023 with a bang and picked up 2024 right where 2023 left off.
Yeah. Very much so.
Like, torn to shreds, and now the whole, not just H2O, but Mania week, from literally Monday through Sunday, they had something going on at that H2O Wrestling Center every
I will say
single
this.
day.
Something that I've noticed, because I'm a Midwest guy, so like I
Same
kind of like
Omaha.
Omaha. Okay, so you understand, like watching H2O for us out of the Midwest, we're kind of picking and seeing what they do, what they don't do. The thing that makes H2O very special, and I've noticed is Matt Tremont has built an incredible network of fans that tell their friends, oh, hey, this is one. And also, he's right near a college campus. So, something for the college kids to do on a Friday night or a Saturday night. Like, it's stuff like this that he takes advantage of. And he's built a special base with it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now I am bummed that he did close the school. I'm bummed about that because
I was the same.
But I understand that. I think just it's a lot for him to take in. I'll tell you this: I did not envy Matt Tremont during Mania weekend. That dude,
Oh, God,
as someone who was, I don't want to peek too much behind the curtain, but what he does for the H2O Center, he is the heart and soul. When they call him the heart and the hustle, that's no joke. That is no joke. He is working the screens. He's working the entrance music. He is busting his ass. Food, merch, everything. Him and Chrissy are our mother effing team, and I have to shout them out because Chrissy Tremont almost saved my freaking life Sunday at Mania because I was having a throbbing headache when I got there. And I'm like, Chrissy, do you have motion? She said yes. And I'm like, you are my savior. Thank you. So shout out to Matt and Chrissy.
Oh, yeah. They got a great thing going there. They're the people they have around them, like I said, been
the
nothing.
Students are very good too. I will say this: some of the students that I got to work with Mania weekend, very good at what they do. Some of the crew, like JB Anderson, Brax. Brax was a huge help to us. President Carter was a huge help to us at ICW. So shout out to him. Those students, keep doing what you're doing, guys. Keep coming up, keep helping us. We will help you. That is what I have to say.
Most definitely. I've had a handful of them, the students on. You bring up JB Anderson.
JB is awesome, man.
Oh, God. I love the dude.
JB.
He is actually, unless something comes up, going to be hosting with me a special preview for their show, Uninvited, here at the end of the month.
Oh, okay. Okay. I did.
And I'm excited for a lot of the people there getting to be involved in Chando's show.
Yes, I donated a little bit to Chando for Neil Diamond Cutter. Very excited about that show. Very happy that Chando's getting to run his own show. It's a load show. I don't know if you saw the update, but Randy, Russell, and Schwartz aren't going to be able to make it. They have some stuff. Kind of want to take this time just to shout those two. Some of my favorite people in wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of going through a bit of stuff right now, and they deserve all the time they need to take a break. People forget wrestlers are human too. They have their own things going on. They have their own stuff. They just don't like to share it with the world.
Understandable.
But yeah, Randy and Schwartz, I know they were going to be there, but they are not anymore. So, but I love them. Some of my favorite people. As I said, we'll get into RPW in a little bit. They're kind of like my home promotion right now. They are kind of like two of the pillars of that damn thing. So without Randy and Schwartzy, there may not be as much to RPW as it is now.
Oh, yeah. I've got nothing but love for the both of them. I've had Schwartzy on twice now.
Yeah, I saw. I was like, oh boy, you got Schwartzy on twice. You loved him the first time. You had to bring him back the second time.
Oh yeah, and well, the first time we had some technical difficulties throughout the show.
Okay.
So it was like I definitely wanted to have him back, kind of, have a technical difficulty free show, which we pretty much had.
Yeah.
So,
Randy West is a badass as well.
Oh,
Absolute
man.
bona fide badass.
Most definitely one of those people that not to interrupt.
She doesn't get talked about enough. I will say that.
Oh yeah, one of those people in pro wrestling in general that I like to use the term equal opportunity ass kicker.
I love it.
She is definitely one of those. And, going into Ruthless, we've been talking
I have
about
a lot to say. They're my boys. They're my people. I can go on my damn soapbox about RPW. So, I mean, for those of you that don't know Ruthless, they're based out of the Michigan area, but they're actually, fun fact, like the entire crew is from like Toledo, Ohio. So like right over the bit. There's
right over the border.
Exactly. Chris Kohlenberg, where do I begin with him as a promoter? Like the thing with the Midwest deathmatch scene is I don't want to say fading. That's not the right word I'm going to use here. It's just a little vague, I think is the best way to put it. Because yes, you have death matches, but you don't have them as often.
Yeah.
And yes, you have Iceland Milwaukee does the Insane every year. That's their biggest show of the year. GCW sometimes does death matches in the Chicago, but they've kind of gone away from that a little bit. Iceland Holds Barred has run at Berwyn Eagles. Reggie's Rock Club. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like a world famous rock club in Chicago. Circle 6 has kind of run there a bit. But RPW was able to get Berwyn Eagles. When I saw that, I was stunned. I was like, I never would have thought in my million years a legendary indie venue. Like, if you know the history of that venue, that's hosted Evolve, hosted Shimmer, hosted all these amazing promotions, and now there's a freaking deathmatch promotion, Berwyn Eagles. And RPW has done that. And Chris Kohlberg, he's the epitome of Midwest nice. He's a guy who was a part of the hardcore music scene for a good long time. And he wants to leave the Midwest scene a better place than when he started, especially deathmatch. I mean, you saw they've now run 2 years in a row at the H2O Center. That's a testament because guys like Matt Tremont respect what he does. Guys like 440 see what he does. Guys like Randy and Schwartzy, who have literally been like this to RPW. There's so many great guys in that locker room, and I'm just so honored. I've been with them since December of last year. My first filming gig was the Whiteout. You may have watched the No Ring show they did in December.
Yeah.
Ton of fun. Some of the most fun. It was my first time like really doing a gig with them. I was scared shitless. I was nervous because I was like, I'm going to be having to walk around, get past all these people. And Chris was like, you got this. So literally, I wouldn't be where I am without Chris Kohlenberg and RPW. And they are like family. They're the reason I came out for Mania weekend. I mean, we could talk miasma because that's a 9-match card that's going into Mania time. Most people are like, oh, I'm going to watch Mania. Where we had a sold out house at the H2O Center on a Sunday afternoon, the day of WrestleMania Night 2. Like, we were stunned. And I mean, the support we've gotten, has been incredible. I'm so happy to be part of a promotion like RPA because they're only going to get better. I can promise you, they're only going to be better. King of the Kill this year. I don't know if you saw the end of Miasma. Lou Nixon.
That was one I didn't really get to catch all of it.
Lou Nixon won our deathmatch championship. It's a world championship now. Nice. We gained a freaking world championship. He's defending that at Kumite, a UK promotion. Who would have ever thought RPW a few years ago would be having an international deathmatch champion defending our belt across the pond? And that's
wild.
and he's bringing it back. And he I don't know. I'll say this because he won. He said, "I'll be back for King of the Kill," which is our deathmatch tournament in August, which is only the second year going. We've already sold out front row within minutes.
Nice.
RPW, I can't say enough. Not like, yes, we are a Midwest promotion. We are like just some random guys from Chicago, from Ohio, from Michigan, but we all want to make something special, and we are. I mean, you saw with my asthma, you got to see dream matches. You got to see matches you never would have thought. Judge Joe Dread Matt Tremont. Would you have seen that anywhere else? I don't know.
I can't think of a place.
And being able to like kind of be behind the scenes and film it, I'll just get kind of peek back a little bit. But it was just so much fun. We had a very loose locker room. We were very just fun. We all wanted to just go out, kick ass, kill it, and couldn't have asked for a better show. So RPW, they have my heart. They're my number ones. They are literally some of the best people. And guys, I can promise you, we hope to be back in New Jersey. We hope to be back we will be back in Chicago. I believe we're announcing our next show for July for Chicago. So if any of y'all want to come out to Chicago to Berwyn Eagles, we will be there. And I mean, King of the Kill, buy your ticket for King. We have a huge weekend out. I don't know if you've seen like what we do. So it's a two show weekend.
Nice.
So Flophouse, which is Schwartz's promotion, will be running on Friday night. And then I believe we have a big smoke out, which sponsored by Mint Cannabis. Shout out to Mint Cannabis, the official dispensary dispensary that are sponsoring Randy West and Schwartzy. So shout out to Mint Cannabis. They're awesome. Who knows if you see Randy and Schwartzy at a show, they're probably gonna have some Mint Cannabis goodies for you. They literally bring it out in coolers. And we also have, if you know this, Chris Kohlenberg and a couple of the other RPW guys, they actually run a horror movie podcast called Real Vile. They're doing like a little horror film watching as well, part of the King of the Kill weekend. And best part, there's camping out. We are all camping out. Also, I'm gonna PSA the crap out of this because this involves one of my favorite people. We are actually doing a weapons making workshop as well for King of the Kill. And with our weapons master, Indrid Cold. Indrid is one of the best fucking people in the world. Indrid, if you're listening to this, I love you. You're like a brother to me. You are one of the best fucking people I know. One of the best weapons masters around. So if you want to learn how to make cool fucking weapons for your deathmatch show at King of the Kill, come to the weapons workshop with Indrid. Indrid is one of the freaking best. So I
need to get him on. I like getting people from all over the
Indrid
and somebody for the making weapons for death matches. That's something I haven't had on yet, but I would love it.
Yes, get Indrid Cold, one of the best freaking people. Just an awesome all around person. He was literally like all the stuff you saw in my asthma. There was notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks of what we had for my asthma. If I was able to like smuggle it and show you, I would, but I don't because it was so remarkable. Like Danny Havoc would have been proud of this freaking notebook.
I bet. Speaking of another, we talked about Ruthless and Midwest scene. Before we get into the other promotion I was wanting to talk about, one of the things that I love about Ruthless, and it's coming from just looking at advertisements, is I gravitate towards those like intense promotions, intense personas, and like you look at an advertisement for a Ruthless show, it just screams intensity.
Yeah.
And I love it.
So, as I said, Chris was he had a big background in the hardcore scene from Toledo and Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of inspiration comes from. But also, the other thing I forgot to mention about King of the Kill is we're going to have bands playing as well. One of them, I don't know if you may have heard the beginning. There was a theme song we had playing for Miasma, which happened to be our new theme song we have out for Ruthless, which is done by our good friends at Elbow Deep, who is actually from my area in Chicago. They're a hardcore band. They're going to be one of the bands playing. Jerry, the vocalist, Brian, one of their guitarists, good people. So as I said, the intensity part, we love that you mentioned that because RPW loves to combine the love of hardcore intensity with the love of deathmatch wrestling all into one giant motherfucker that is Ruthless Pro Wrestling.
Oh man, and they do a good job of it.
It's really awesome to see, but thank you for that. You're definitely the first one that's kind of mentioned, the intensity. I'm like, yeah, we get intense, bro.
Yeah. Now, we talked about Midwest. There's another promotion that they took a little bit of a hiatus, but later this month they're actually making a comeback and involving some of our friends over at H2O.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Njpw Pro.
Yeah. They're running in Michigan, I believe, correct?
Yeah, Michigan, yeah.
Yeah. Njpw took a bit of a break. I know I think it's definitely gonna take some time for them to get back on their feet.
Yeah.
I do think though it's very cool though to see some of the East Coast guys. That's something I wanted to just kind of sidebar a little bit is I like when like different regions of guys go to different places that they're maybe not used to.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because
I love seeing that myself.
as someone who lives here in Chicago, and I'm not trying to call on anybody when I say this, it's just something that I know is because I go out east, I travel, I do this stuff. Don't get so complacent. Don't settle for what's in front of you. Reach, network. I see so many of these wrestlers, they're like, oh, I like this. And I'm like, guys, trust me.
Yeah.
There's more to the greener pastures than you realize, brother.
Oh, yeah. And, that's kind of the same thing that led to a lot of the guests that I've had on. Because when I started, I was doing, and I love highlighting local people when I get the chance. I love, whenever I get the chance, I love it. But when I started, I was starting to get this feeling, man, sooner or later, I'm going to run out of people to talk to.
Of course. That's how it is.
And then it just happened to be around the time that the SATs had those matches with the Hardys and the Briscoes.
Spanish announce team, Spanish announce team, yeah.
And I went and I reached out to them. I'm like, thinking in my head, this might be a long shot, but let's see if it sticks. And then boom. And then it just snowballed from there. And, getting to have a few people on from Mid-Death. They've done a couple shows here in Omaha.
Yes, they have.
And I was at the first one, which it was weird because it was in the basement of a strip club that I didn't know was a strip club at the time. Like I go in thinking, it's just going to be you walk in and, there's where they're having it. I walk in and then there's some tits and ass right in front of my face. And I'm like, they're like, you're here for wrestling, right? And they're like, that way. I'm like, okay, I'm going
that way. That's funny.
But man, it was funny because not only that, but I didn't realize that my ticket for that show was also an entry into a raffle for an event used item signed by everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
And I didn't realize I won until after the show when Carver comes up and hands me half a door.
That's funny.
And I literally have it right behind my camera I have here. There's like a big ass dent and crack in there. The blood stains are still on there. The first time my wife saw it, she's like, is that blood on there? And I just laughed and was like, yeah.
Mid-Death. But no, yeah, Mid-Death is an interesting one. I'm interested to see how they do things these next few months and see what happens.
I'm with you there.
I definitely shout out to Hot Dog Dewey again to ring announce there. That dude that's a dude who puts in miles, travels. Like we all were like, we love to travel out east. He's the guy who's like, I love to come out Midwest. I'm like, no one likes to come out Midwest from the east. What are you talking about, Dewey? But he does it.
his episode of the show is coming out in like a week or two.
Okay.
So that was a fun one.
Yeah.
I even slipped, and this is like I've started to, whenever I get ideas popping up when I'm recording, little jokes that I'll like stitch in a little video, so that way a little more incentive for people to watch the YouTube version. But with him, I brought up that, okay, I gotta ask, with the hot dog costume, do you ever get asked about the scene from, I believe it was Accepted, ask me about my
wiener.
Yeah. And I actually stitched in that video.
That's amazing. I knew exactly where you're going. I'm like, of course. Have to ask about it.
He was like,
he literally reminds me of the character from Accepted. I swear to God.
Yeah. He's like, I get asked about my wiener all the time.
Of course. Of course.
But man, you know what? I think and I regret that I don't think I went to this particular show, but the second time Mid-Death came to Omaha, I believe he was there.
Yes, I believe he was.
But I'm
excited. His hot dog.
Yeah, I'm excited for him though, because I keep on mentioning to a few of the people I talked to from there that I'm like, man, I want you guys to get back to Omaha, because that first show that I went to, let's just say I was thankful that I wore closed-toed shoes, because the connector end to a light tube flew off and hit me in the foot.
Of course.
And then somewhere on my TikTok page for the show, I have footage of one of the matches spilled outside.
Okay.
And there was like this little wall that they had set up a door on top of these two chairs, and one guy on top of the door. Well, the guy went to climb on top of the wall, but as he went to jump, the guy on the door rolled. The door fell off. The guy landed like gut first on the edge of the door, and it was just like, God damn, my ribs hurt just watching that. Now, with your show, with your podcast, your Dose of Death, where did that start?
So I love talking about the history of this podcast. So the actual idea of the podcast really didn't start till 2020. During COVID, of course, everyone's staying in and rugged. I'm like, I need something to do with my life. But the actual podcast itself did not start till 2021.
I think that was around the time that I started.
See how
pretty
things
close.
Work out?
It was like 2021, 2022, somewhere in there.
Yeah, so mine was 2021. Like, the idea to contribute to the space was 2020, but the actual podcast did not start till 2021. I did not think I would have a podcast. I'm dead serious when you asked 2020 Loren, and he would have been like, I'm going to watch. I'm going to contribute here and there. I'm going to maybe do a blog, something lazy. But a podcast? Hell no. But so I put out a tweet one day that I was like, I want to contribute more. I think I know a good amount of deathmatch. I really feel like I can contribute. And all of a sudden, this little, I mean little, I had no idea who they were. They were called Count Out. They approached me on the DMs. They're like, oh, hey, like, we see you. Like, do you want to be a part of our thing? And like, Ryan Knightsey, Mikey Manfredi. Mikey's my editor. Ryan's my pod boss, as I call him. Both are fantastic dudes. And little did they know, the rest is history, as they say. 3.5 years later, dozens of episodes in the vault. The thing with Your Dose of Death was, originally I wanted it to kind of be like a little metaphorical middle finger to certain dirt sheet writers that would doubt deathmatch wrestling. because I was in
I can understand.
I was in a very petty mood because there was a certain journalistic publication who doesn't, I'm not going to mention that they don't deserve the time nor day, but they were like, oh, this death match was horrible or this is disgusting. And I'm like, and they were dissing on Matt Tremont and Alex Colon of all freaking people. And I'm like, these are two of the damn best to do it. You're sitting here and tell me you have the audacity to be like this. So I was
and for a guy like Cologne and Tremont.
It was the Janela Spring Break 2020. It was that main event. It was when Tremont was considering retirement.
Two guys that can literally
work circles,
not only go deathmatch style, but Tremont especially has proven
one
that
of
he
the
can go, just
one of the greatest
match.
And it just pissed me off. So that's why I was like, you know what, I could be one of these ratty trolls on the internet. I could be one of these but I'm like, I'm gonna be more productive. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna stick it to the man. I'm gonna give deathmatch wrestling the shine that all these idiot dirt sheets didn't want to do. So I got to it. So my first episode was, I believe, in February of 2021 with Bam Sullivan was my OG first guest.
Nice.
I did not expect him to be my first guest at all. I'd already had talks with Alex Colon. I'd already had talks with Tremont. I've just been so blessed to have some incredible people on the show. I mean, Joel Bateman technically was my original first interview, but that was in writing form, not. But Joel is a guy who, that's another full circle moment for me from Mania, getting to film his American return. He had told me the matches that he had at Mania Weekend were his first set of matches he's had in 3 months. He's not had matches in 3 months. He's just been kind of going through some things. I cannot be prouder of a guy like Joel Bateman. Literally an incredible class act. Was the heart and soul of DMDU. A guy who has done so much for deathmatch wrestling internationally. If he were to retire today, I would not blame him one single bit. And I'd say I'm proud to call you a friend. You can always talk to me whenever. But I'm proud I got to see your last matches.
Oh yeah, I actually I've had some interaction with him that I actually have a moment that I'll go into in a little bit that involves him. That probably one of the craziest moments I've ever witnessed in person.
Oh yeah. He always has some crazy moments, that Joel.
I literally got a picture with him after, his face still all bloodied up.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's awesome. He's an icon.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else I had? I mean, I got to have the pleasure of talking with Clint Margera, who you saw. Clint is one of the sweetest people ever. Actually, got to take an Uber ride with him over Mania Weekend. Really sweet. Finally got to meet his girlfriend, Gabby. She's a sweetheart. Big Lou Nixon. I'm hoping to have him on very soon. I hope the world really got a good look at Lou Nixon Mania Weekend. He killed it everywhere he went. Big F and Joe was one of my favorite people. Big listener of the podcast. As you see, he'll be in TOS this year. Which I was with that man no more than a few years ago at NGI. But he kept saying, I want to be at that damn carousel room. Can't happen anymore, but he said he wanted to wrestle in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He's following in his wish. Other ones, Matt Tremont was a great interview.
He's still on my bucket list.
Who? BF and Joe?
Tremont.
Oh, Tremont? Really? You know how to read Tremont?
I've talked with him about it, but I mean,
it's that man's always stressed out, so it's always hard to find time with him.
Well, that and the schedule that he keeps with his own bookings and running H2O. It's like no fault of his own. I get it. In due time.
In due time, you'll make it happen. Who else? Someone who has become such a good friend of mine who actually interviewed for Mid-Death was Remington Roar.
Yes. He was a fun one. I've had him on too.
Yeah. I'll say this about Remington. Every time I see him in the ring, every time I see him, I will always tell him I love him because him and actually this goes back to Indrid, they're partners. And they literally are like family to me, those two. I was like, if anything happens to you, if anything, I have your back. And Remington, I have been so fucking happy to see take over the world, get to Japan. I believe he's going back to Japan soon. I don't know when. Currently, he's our RPW Kamikaze champion, which is kind of like that's like our like deathmatch 24/7 belt. It can be defended in different promotions. It's really fun. Schwartzy was our first champ, and now Remington's.
I was going to say, I remember Schwartzy being champ for a bit.
Yeah, Schwartzy was our inaugural Kamikaze champ. But Remington's holding it now and just had an incredible match with Vic Craig at RPW. I helped set up those shark teeth bats, and I was nervous for my life during the like I was filming ringside, and I told Rem and Vic, I'm like, if those shark teeth come my way, I'm throwing them at fans as a joke. Which, joking aside, did not have to have it, but I told Rem, I'm like, if they come my way, I'm gonna throw them back at you and be like, God damn it, guys. But Remington's a guy I've had. As I said, listen to the Judge Joe Dredd jury interview. Really fun stuff with them. That was kind of my first like dive into XPW realm. As I said, my tune has changed on XPW.
I've gained a little more respect for them back after having people on like Brawlin' Bo Cooper, had him on from there.
Oh yeah, Bo Cooper.
Oh God, he wasn't meant. This other guy I had on from that has done a lot of California dates with them. He wasn't actually supposed to be on that first King of the Deathmatch show.
But he was. Who was it?
Terex.
Oh yeah, Terex.
Dude, I kid you not.
He's a cool dude. Real cool dude.
Oh, love the dude. He was actually in like a little ways into my time going there, but he was on the roster for the first ever independent promotion I ever went to.
Wow, really? That's crazy.
In San Diego, California, when I was stationed in the Navy out there.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
And I remember taking a friend to a show, and I could tell when he was about to do this, and I nudged the friend. I'm like, dude, watch this. He pulls off a standing moonsault.
Terex is a beast.
Oh, totally.
I'm stunned at how good he is.
Oh,
and as you know, he is actually going by a new name in RPW now. He's going by the Executioner.
Oh, you know what? I don't think. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm learning.
So if you watched Dread Tremont, he was a run-in.
Oh,
he was the run-in.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah. So Tremont Dread, he came in as a run-in, and he is now the Executioner in RPW.
Nice.
So we're really excited to have him. We're really excited to see what he can do for us. And again, Judge Joe Dredd, as I said, the thing with Dredd is this, and I think people are still kind of a little hesitant on him. And I keep telling people this is a breakout year for him. Find me a guy with his promo caliber. Find me a guy with a more intriguing story and mystique around him. And find me a guy who can do the stuff he's doing.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
He's becoming the full package.
One hell of a promo.
He's becoming the full package before our very eyes, and I mean, we're very happy to have him in RPW as like kind of like his only like real Midwest booking, and we're really happy about that because he loves RPW. He wants to kick ass in RPW. Let's put it like that.
That's awesome.
And he loves what we do, and we love what he does. So I'm just saying him, and yeah, Terex is a dude who I'm very, very interested in. When I saw him, I was like, oh, damn, he's here. But if you're going to talk to him, he's one of the chillest dudes ever.
Oh, yeah. He was one of my early episodes.
I did not think he would like talk the way he does, and I'm like, bro, are you from like Hawaii or something? It's hilarious. I love Terex. Love him.
Oh yeah, nothing but love for him. Now, one guy that I've had on that I was curious, because I'm going to have to go and catch up on more of your stuff, but I had him on shortly after the video came out of him burning the IWA Mid-South belt, Jake Christ.
I've not had Jake Christ on.
Oh, dude. We talked about Tremont and Cologne, about people that can go in both deathmatch and regular.
Yeah.
Jake is definitely one of those. He's proven that with the recent run that he had as the Revolver.
So he was actually supposed to be on the RPW show, but I believe he got an injury, so he had to come off. So we're really bummed. Jake has worked for RPW before in the past, but we wish him best in his injury recovery. Would have been really cool to see him and Atticus for the world title. It would have been really cool to see. But we had a very justifiable replacement for him in that little rat bastard Christian Njpw. He's a little rat bastard.
Now, I have two categories. One's a bit of a name game.
Okay.
Where I name off some people. You give me quick thoughts on them.
Okay. I like that.
And I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. This time with all the deathmatch talk, all these guys, huge deathmatch.
Okay, let's go.
First one, a guy that, along with a few others, is one of the only people out of my deathmatch bucket list I haven't had on yet.
Okay.
And every single time I see this guy in an event on, Triller or wherever, and the way that venue turns into a giant mosh pit, I'm like, I want to be there. Nick fucking Gage.
Nicky, man. Me and Nick go back a little bit. When I first started going to indie shows, I went to StarCast 2019, and I had already known the GCW guys a little bit. Got to say hi to them. My friends were like, oh, you know them? Who are they? They didn't know indie stuff back then like I did. And my first meet and greets were with Nick Gage and Homicide. And two absolute legends. Nicky is one of the sweetest fucking people in the world. I've heard that about him. He comes off like this real gruff kind of guy, he's a mosh, whatever. But he is a sweet, gentle giant. He's a sweet, gentle giant. I've had the pleasure of driving him a couple times for GCW in Chicago. Kid you not. So South 2019, me, him, and Homicide. Flash over to 2023. I literally had to pick up Homicide from the airport and drove him and Nick Gage to Tally Hall in Chicago.
Nice.
And I am like, this is so freaking full circle. I can't even begin to tell you how much I'm like, oh crap. So love Nicky, miss him. Probably see him in May at Chicago for GCW.
That would be sweet, because like I said, every time, like the moment that music of his hits, the entire venue turns into a giant fucking mosh pit. And I'm like,
right.
I don't care where I'm sitting. I just want to be in the middle of that.
Yeah, that's how it is with him.
Now, whether you call this next guy by his original nickname or you call him by the Killdozer, Matt Tremont.
One of the greatest of all time.
Oh, most definitely.
There's something crazy, and I got to see both sides of Tremont, Killdozer and or not, within the span of a whole weekend last weekend. So I've never seen someone get more over on Korn in my entire life than Killdozer.
Oh yeah.
But I've never also seen someone get more over off of Journey than Matt Tremont.
Yeah. Separate ways, yeah, when he gets that
it's
going.
wild how a man gets all these abstract complex songs of our childhood / adulthood like he does. But you want to talk about a guy who literally, to me, like, he just, there may not be a lot of perfect workers. He is the perfect worker of the modern deathmatch era.
Oh yeah.
And what's crazy is he's only like 3, 4 years older than me. Like, he's only like 32 or whatever. And it's like, you feel like he's had such a wealth of knowledge for only being in his like early 30s. So Tremont is one of the greatest of all time, the greatest American deathmatch wrestler of all time. I would definitely go with that sentiment. But it feels like you don't even know if we're truly done with his greatness either.
Oh yeah. I like to think, you know, with him, especially with, you know, the emergence of the Killdozer, it's like I've mentioned with a few guests before that, you know, those people that are able to like reinvent themselves in even some of the smallest ways end up that being a thing that helps give them even more longevity in their career.
Yeah.
And this Killdozer might have just been that shot that gives him that much more of a
it adds intrigue. It adds intrigue to him. And
yeah.
I think, because like he's never really like done I know it's a wrestling podcast. We're not trying to break the business here, but he's never really done a gimmick before. And he's really had fun with this. And that's the other thing. Like, he seems to genuinely have fun with this.
I have noticed that. He does seem to be having a hell of a lot of fun with it.
I mean, I didn't even realize that he was wearing contacts as the Killdozer. I had no idea. Like, because he doesn't have like the biggest eyes, so you can't really notice that. But then when you notice it, I'm like, oh crap, he's got contacts on. Holy shit.
Wow. Yeah, that's another new thing I'm learning here.
Yeah.
All right. Now, my last two in the category are legends.
Okay.
Not saying that Nick Gage and Matt Tremont aren't.
Of course.
These guys are more, they've been out of the game. First one, God rest his soul, the legend Terry Funk.
Terry Funk. I mean, I got to meet Onita during WrestleCon. And that was like kind of a huge moment for me because, like, when are you gonna see Onita again or whatever?
Yeah.
So, and I was thinking back to the fact that him and Terry Funk had that iconic exploding barbed wire match. Terry Funk innovated deathmatch before deathmatch became relevant. He loved the idea because, like, he was raised in the Memphis style of wrestling where it was just beat, like, you did not want to hear that wrestling was fake around him.
That southern style,
that's like, it's intense, it's visceral, it's cerebral to some. And Funk
that mention it, not to interrupt you, but mention, like, back then for them, it was like mentioning wrestling being air quotes fake was like fucking sacrilege.
It was sacrilege, yeah. And in Texas, they treat deathmatch like it's religion out there. I will definitely attest to that. But Funk, he just one of the greatest of all time. I mean, a guy who just he innovated the game and changed the game step by step. And I mean, Terry Funk walked for all deathmatch wrestlers, so all these deathmatch wrestlers could crawl.
Oh yeah, and the way I've heard it described with him this way, that he knew the value of building up the future generations of it, going back to like his runs in the original ECW, where like a lot of the, you know, the current crop or the legends of the day back then weren't really wanting to pay ECW that attention.
Yeah.
He was there helping build it up.
Of course.
Now, another guy that was right there along with him, and I've actually had the pleasure of getting to meet this guy once.
Okay.
But, we'll go into some thoughts I have with him too. But Cactus Jack,
Nick
aka
Foley. I've met Nick. Truly a genuine soul, a guy who really my favorite character of his though was Mankind.
Oh
I
yeah.
love the Mankind. Like I met him at PWT's and I had him sign the Have a Nice Day. Like I had him sign a Mankind 8x10 and it said he's like have a nice day. It was amazing to me. He is another innovator, another guy who really had zero regard for his body. And I mean, but I think to him, it was cathartic and therapeutic in a sense.
You know what? I think I definitely heard him talk about it in that manner.
Yes. And I know everyone was excited for his last match, but listen, I did not want it. I was just kind of a little hesitant. I'm like, I love Nick too much. I don't need another memory of him. I've had some great memories of Nick where at a local promotion of mine, he came out to like a hardcore match, but it was like real comedy stuff. But Nick will always be remembered to me as the guy that just took risks for the sake of entertainment, and his risks paved the way for a whole generation of wrestling.
Oh, most definitely. And I I might have been somewhat excited for this last match.
Yes.
But I was also, in a sense, relieved when I heard him talk about how he had to call it off because of like concussion like symptoms. So I was like, okay, you know what? As much as it would have been, cool to see, that one last match.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I've got plenty of good memories of him and his matches. You know what? He doesn't deserve to go out there, and not that I think he would tarnish it, but he doesn't deserve to have anything go out there and make anybody remember him for anything more than everything that he's already given to the business. Like, let's say those health issues were to cause him to, for the lack of a better way of putting it, passing away in the ring.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
You know what?
want him to be remembered for that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related.
Okay.
Some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far.
Okay.
So I give you the question, first answer that pops into your head.
Okay, got it.
First one, craziest in-match moment that you've been there to witness.
Honestly, craziest in-match moments. So the craziest in-match moment was it was Los Macizos versus Dysfunction and Eric Dillinger at Wisconsin Death Trip 2. So NGI weekend a couple years back. And so Cyclope thought it was the smartest idea to do the flaming knee pad on Dysfunction.
Oh, that one. I've never seen the video.
But the crazier part of it was La Pica's not a big venue. It is not a big venue. It is tiny as shit. It's like, as someone said to me, it is like Satan's asshole in there. I kid you not. And this person was not wrong. So they're doing this flaming knee pad spot, and then they take the knee pad off, and it won't go out. So it took like 5 people to get water in it. And the craziest part of it was when Piss Jug Mike, rest in peace, is pouring his piss on the knee pad. And we're all like, oh my God. It's not piss. It's green tea.
Yeah.
But it was so crazy, just the aftermath of it. We're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's probably that is one of the craziest moments I've ever seen in a ring.
Oh yeah. That would be hard to top that. I know one of mine, we talked about Joel Bateman. It was actually, he was involved in my first ever death match that I witnessed in person.
What was that?
Him versus Jake Chris at Revolver.
Oh yeah, that match.
I was third row for that.
Okay.
And the way that match, like the match was crazy enough because it followed a Monsters Ball match. So there's already all over.
Yeah.
And then the way it ended with the four folding chairs, then the panes of glass, and then Bobby rolls in with a thing of lighter fluid.
Yeah.
That was probably that, or oh God, either of the times that I got to witness a second Gear Crew match in person.
They're always nuts, those dudes. They don't know filters.
Oh God. From everything from Matthew Justice jumping off a scaffold both times that I witnessed all three of them together, or Steve Macklin swinging half a door and like I'm on the other end of the venue, and I could just hear the loud whack, 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 and I'm like, is somebody getting killed over there? And then this last one, that it was Cologne, Ricky Shane Page, Macklin, and Killer Kelly.
Oh, was it that Cage of Horrors match or whatever?
It was like
or was it
the War Games without the cage?
Okay. Yeah, I heard about
this. They would all bring in weapons.
Yeah.
And the second Gear Crew actually had Masha Slamovich with them.
Yes.
And Masha brought out a bundle of light tubes.
Yeah.
And Matthew Justice he had them wheel towards the ring, that big ass scaffold.
Yeah.
And, funny thing, I got to joke with both Matthew Justice and not Mance Warner. Manders. Duh. Yeah, Manders. I got a joke with them both that I'm like, your guys' matches might as well be sponsored by Home Depot.
Of course.
And I actually got to tell this to Manders because him being a Midwest guy and being a former Iowa Hawkeyes football player.
Former Iowa Hawkeye.
And I actually got a joke with him because in my family, we've had season tickets to Husker football since the sellout streak started.
Oh, okay.
And I actually got to tell him, so because him and I have had nothing but great interactions. He's great. I'm actually talking with him about coming on the show, but I told him, so who said a Hawkeye and a Husker couldn't get along? And he laughed. It was funny.
That is funny.
All right. Now, I mentioned some of the guests that I wish I could have on.
Yeah.
Who are some that you haven't had on yet that you want to?
Big F and Joe, Lou Nixon for sure. I love the UK scene. I want to give them their flowers.
Oh yeah.
Who else? Drew Parker, someone I'll kind of peek back the curtain a little bit on him. Before he had already retired, but he had reached out to me about wanting to come on. Then he kind of went off the grid. So Drew is one if I could go back in a time machine, just get him on, please. But never say never to him. Who else? Brett Lauderdale would love.
He would be one for me too.
Brett, I would love to talk just shop. Just love to talk just the deathmatch history and the future of deathmatch wrestling in his eyes.
Oh yeah.
Who else? I mean, I definitely want to do a translator interview with one of the Japanese deathmatch wrestlers. I don't care who.
That would be
me zoom in the translator, and then zoom in the said wrestler.
Oh yeah, that would be epic.
I know that would take a lot of undertaking, and you have to make sure you have the interpreter at the same time and have the wrestler be a lot. But if there's a will,
if you could get it done, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll try.
I mean, I'm, considering, as they say, card is subject to change.
Of course.
I do have people lined up that, they've done some deathmatch stuff, and I've had some people that, have, H2O. So crossing my fingers, nothing happens, but 3 that I just finished scheduling within the last couple of days. Akira.
I've had Akira on. He's great.
Braden Toon.
Okay.
And Ron Bass Jr.
Oh, Ronnie boy. God, you'll have a great time with all 3 of those guys.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to get
Akira is great. Akira's great. I'm so proud of the growth that has happened with him. Oh, I'm so proud. Like, I'm proud of the fact that he didn't pigeonhole himself and didn't just, like, it. When people want to lump you in as a deathmatch wrestler, sometimes it's just hard to get out of that reputation.
Yeah,
he got out of it and has absolutely smashed every expectation that has been put in front of him.
Oh yeah. And then talking about Braden Toon,
he's on the up. He's on the up.
That he definitely is. And what got me even more excited after I had scheduled with him, which I actually think his recording I got coming up sooner than the other 2. But he is actually going to be at the other promotion that got me started watching independent wrestling in California, SoCal Pro.
Oh, okay.
For their anniversary show, where they also have their yearly Hall of Fame inductions.
Okay.
And when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, he's going to be at my old stomping grounds. This is awesome.
Wow. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Now, I have some of my hobbies behind me here.
Yeah.
You can't see some of it.
I see. I can recognize some Fatu. I see some bobbleheads, some Funkos.
Oh yeah. The only ones I keep out of the box are my ones for people that have already passed away.
Oh, okay.
But I've had to start going down to the second level here for my autograph stuff.
Understand.
But some of the stuff that I'm most proud of, actually, besides the bobblehead of Reggie White here, because I got that at my first ever game at Lambeau.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I have, growing up, it was pro wrestling and Ninja Turtles for me.
Okay.
And the same show that I met Fatu at, just a couple people from him was both the voice of Michelangelo from the original cartoon.
Okay.
And the guy behind Splinter from the first 2 movies.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And I got a Funko signed by each of them.
Okay.
But, talking about my hobbies, what are some hobbies you have, if any?
Yeah. Okay. Definitely, like, when I try to decompress, play some video games. So Call of Duty has been kind of my go-to. But another thing I've been doing, golfing actually is kind of a hobby I've taken up over the last few years. I just love being outside. I'm someone who has really tried to make sure as a wrestling fan that I do not let it consume my life. And that's why I want to preach on here. Please, 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 there's more to fucking wrestling. I cannot stress that enough.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have these people on Twitter like, this isn't like, guys, go watch TV, go watch Netflix. Like, there's more to life, and you'll regret it the day that you're on your deathbed. And you're like, oh, I didn't do enough. And I'm like, what do we tell you? Yeah. Like, so yeah, golf has become one. Another, like going on my friends, of course. So drinking good beer, drinking good bourbon. And I'm not drinking that, unfortunately, tonight. I just, but also like to travel when I can.
Okay.
And I do actually like collecting hats. I like collecting
Okay.
hats.
Okay. I've done a little bit of that
And some
myself.
autograph memorabilia as well. I do like to collect my autographs and stuff.
Oh yeah. Me, I don't know about you, but me, when it comes to autographs, I don't like getting the stuff that's already done. I
Oh, what, the
like,
pre-signed? Like,
yeah, I
uh,
like taking like each of these figures and the Funkos that I got signed, because
yeah.
I got one signed by the Green Ranger shortly before he
Jason
unfortunately,
David Frank. Oh, rest in peace, Jason David Frank.
like literally
Legend.
maybe a couple months before that happened.
Wow.
But each of these are things that I physically took to the person
Yeah.
and got them to sign it. And that's the way I like it, because I like that little memory.
I'm the same way, but it just entirely depends as well. I will
Yeah.
say that.
I
Depends on
mean,
the situation.
oh yeah, no, I'm totally with you. Like, let's say, for some of these guys that I have out of the box, if I were to come across something that had been signed by them, it would be hard to pass that up.
Of course.
Like, hell, one of my all-time favorites, Big Boss Man. If I came
Oh, rest
across
in
something signed
peace.
by him
Yeah.
or Legion of Doom,
Yeah.
so you can bet it would be hard for me to pass that up.
Of course.
You know, I have too much fun with it. Although I joke about this, but if I ever got to meet and get some of the stuff I have signed behind me here, Stone Cold Steve Austin, if I ever got to meet him,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to get a word out.
I don't think most of us would.
Like, just the way I have him built up in my head after all these years, if I ever actually was in the same room as him, I'd be like, in my head, I would be saying, holy shit, that's actually him.
I think that's a lot of us.
Oh, yeah. Now, we mentioned, I'm having my first drink in a while because of being sick. And, you mentioned some of the drinks that you enjoy. What is a favorite drink that you have, whether it be alcoholic or non or shit, one of each if you want?
Yeah. So favorite drinks. I'm definitely an IPA guy when it comes to beer. I like to make the joke, even though I liked them before this. I was raised in the Joel Bateman School of IPA all effing day. But also when it comes to bourbon, I have a few different bottles. My Michter's, Blanton's. Gosh, I have a few. I could go all day on bourbon. I was on the bourbon trail last year. So really that kind of like inspired my love of bourbon, really. I used to not be a big bourbon guy until like the last few years. So really, but yeah, Michter's is probably one of my favorites. Oh, Bardstown, that's probably one of my favorites. Bardstown, Fusion #9. I've actually gotten that bottle of bourbon as birthday gifts for friends at one point.
Okay.
Um, and they loved it. So those are probably my few drinks. I think my favorite beer of all time will be Revolution Anti-Hero. An oldie but a goodie. Chicago, I run the Chicago brewery scene here. We have an incredible beer scene here in Chicago, and there's so many good beers, but Revolution always stands out. I actually got to go to a wrestling show there last month as well, which was
You know
pretty
what?
crazy.
I'm actually friends with those guys that ran that one.
Yep,
The guys that used to run Warrior
Warrior.
Wrestling.
And it's now, I forget the name of the new name now. So,
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Ventures.
yes, there we go. Pro Wrestling Ventures. Yes.
Yep.
They're very good. They're good people.
Nothing but great things to say about them. I have the promoter's number on speed dial.
And Steve. Oh, good old Steve.
When I had a bit of a personal tragedy, oh God, how long ago was it now? We're getting to almost 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
But they were some of the first people to all reach out to me after. So I got nothing but great things.
That's awesome.
they actually had me out for when they had their St. Louis stop.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I got to witness. Well, he's backed by Bronson Reed now, but I got to see him go up against Jeff Cobb.
Ah, yes.
And I actually got to have a mini episode with Bronson Reed before the show started.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That caught me off guard because, like, I had a few people that said they would, but then literally from the moment they let the FanFest people into the venue,
yeah,
and when he like literally had to go get his gear on,
yeah,
he gave me that window. And I'm like, I kept on remember thinking to myself, man, you got to go get ready. And he's like, no, dude, we're fine. And man,
what a guy.
Oh God, I've got nothing but great things to say about him. I'm hoping one day, I got a figure of his behind me here. I'm hoping that I get to meet him again and have that thing signed so I can, move it up a shelf.
Yeah, move it up a shelf. Nice.
But yeah, nothing but great things to say about those guys. And you know what? I found a spot just across the river in Council Bluffs that actually sells some of their beer. So I'm hoping that I'm able to get over, actually get some of it sometime here soon.
Okay, cool.
Definitely looking forward to that. Now, I often ask this last question here as far as people wanting to get into wrestling, but I'm revising it here.
Okay.
Best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into, whether it be
content space or anything like that, yeah.
Content space, whether it be wrestling or whether it be something outside of wrestling that they just feel passionate
about. So I'll kind of give a two-part answer here. In regards to the wrestling content space, relationship building is so key. It's something that I've learned a lot, and relationship building can be with anything in that sense. But really, with the podcast, you always want to put I always put my best foot forward. I always try to be professional. I always try to make sure I'm accommodating of everyone else's time. And people started noticing, so I was sponsor shows and all, but some sponsorships were just not what I envisioned them. But the reason I started to do filming at shows more is because I had already built a good relationship with wrestlers and or promoters. And I know sometimes it gets taken out of context. Everyone's just like, oh, trying to pay their dues. And like, yes, we can't have every fan trying to get into the show. And it's like, it takes time though. Time is your friend, but at the same time, building relationships with promoters, asking them if they need anything, asking them if they yes, you're gonna face rejection. Rejection sucks. I've had to deal with that myself. You probably had to deal with that yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone's had to deal with it. But it takes time. You build relationships, you build. There's gonna be like, yeah, come on through. You're a part of us now. Like that is literally what happened with me in RPW. I had talked about it on the podcast, but I also was in talks with Kohlenberg. I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm promoting your show on here. Or, oh, hey, Peapod, you want to do this show coverage? Peapod, a fantastic commentator. Him and Ron Nimi were gold at Miasma. I'm just saying, you want to talk about a hell of a commentary duo? Go back to RPW Miasma. Ron Nimi, Peapod, chef's kiss. But that's aside from the fact. And I was like, oh, I want to do a pre-show cover. I'll do it on Instagram Live. We did that. And then Chris is like, thank you for doing that. Your work will not go unnoticed unless you want to go unnoticed. Because if you put your best foot forward out, you just put in the work, you will be rewarded. It's people want things to come to them immediately. I was like that. But as I said earlier, Neil Diamond Cutter told me, if you want to get into wrestling, you got to give back to wrestling. The laws of exchange do in fact matter in wrestling, believe it or not. So that's part one. Part two, in general, just just don't think too much about certain things in life. Life is too damn short for us to be overthinking things. It's too damn short for us to be sitting on our beds or whatever, be like, oh, what am I gonna do? Like, just do it. Just do it. You never know. You never know. Like, and I used to be that kind of guy that hated going to things alone. I don't mind it anymore. I don't mind going alone things because you never know who you're gonna meet. You never know if you're gonna run other friends. You never know what's gonna happen. And again, life's too short to dwell on things. And I learned the hard way that sometimes I was an overthinker. And now I'm just like, you know what? I don't have time to deal with the BS in my life. I don't have time to deal with drama. Yeah, dealt with. Like, but it's just it does you no good. It does me no good to keep dwelling on things in the past. Like,
Yeah.
it just but yeah, just keep doing what you're doing as content creators and or anything. Understand that there's going to be hardships. Understand there's going to be times where you're going to be rejected. They suck, but you got to move on. Someone out there will appreciate your worth. I've learned that the very good way. You see, I'm traveling the country. I'm traveling by myself. I'm doing things that I never imagined in 3, 4, 5 years ago I'd be doing. So I'm really grateful for where I am. And I'm just going to keep going. That's the best way to do it.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely, especially when I was just thinking about getting started, where, yeah, I probably was overthinking a lot of stuff. And, once I got to the part about, what, screw it, I'm passionate about this. I found a way that I can do it. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And then look at me now. I'm inching closer to 250 episodes.
That's awesome. Congrats.
And like a milestone I never thought I'd get to. And I'm actually inching closer because I think when I actually started doing the podcast, I had just shy of like 20 subscribers. And now I'm up to 316.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, I'm not at a level of like Fightful or something, which I've been lucky enough somebody from there on. I've been lucky enough to have Mr. Alexis Cardoza from there on.
Okay.
So nothing but love for that guy. But, everybody's got to start somewhere. And like you said, not overthinking it. And like I always like to tell people, if you're passionate about it and you feel like you can contribute to whatever scene with your passion, dude, like
just
you said,
do it.
Just do it. That's half the damn battle there, just getting out there and doing it.
Exactly.
And then as long as as you get going and you're still having fun doing it, keep it up. Because that's what matters in the end, is if you're having fun doing it. Well, that is about all I have. But before where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
So I mostly just use X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. That is at LORENYDOD. My Instagram, follow L Arberg Studios. That's LRBERG Studios. That's where I'm posting all my clips and stuff from shows. So far, I have 3 shows under my belt through them. They're all RPW related. I will start putting out ICW No Holds Barred clips as well. So really excited to see how that journey jumps off. I've already had 1,000 views in 48 hours on one clip from one of my shows.
Nice.
I've really happy with how everything came out Mania weekend. Really am trying to jumpstart that because I now have a space there as well. And I don't know if people started calling me the deathmatch filmographer now. I'm not at that level just yet, but I'm trying to get there. So all the support at all of our Arberg Studios is really great. So those are the two places you can follow me at. Also follow the Count Out Network. It's Count Out. Buy merch there. You can get like Gyarados of Death shirts, hoodies. But also you can buy my merch at Deathmatch Worldwide. You just look up Gyarados of Death there. It will be there. We have two shirts. We have the logo. We have the one shirt, which is the red splatter logo, and the This Is My Deathmatch shirt one, which was one that was created by my lovely editor, Mikey and Freddie. Please buy that one. I thought that'd be a trendy shirt that would take off, but it hasn't. Prove me wrong.
I love it.
Yeah.
I might need to go get that one.
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. I know a few people that have bought it. It's a great concept. This is my death. It's a white shirt. That's all it is. It's a white shirt that says, "This is my deathmatch shirt." Kind of amazed it hasn't caught on, but whatever. But yeah, that's where you can buy my merch. That's where you can follow me on socials. But always, I want to just kind of plug one thing real quick on
Definitely.
Twitter. If you ever just feel down or anything like that, feel free to talk to me. Follow me, just DM me. My DMs, I try to keep open as much as possible. Want to help people. I know mental health is really important these days.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're all going through it.
There.
So, if you ever just want to talk to me or anything like that, feel free. But again, Mo, thank you for having me on. This has been a long doozy, a fun one as well. Look forward. Hopefully, our paths cross one day in person, my dude.
That would be awesome. Well, like I said, that is about all I have. We'll be sure to get all of that information in the description. Again, thank you so much. It was a blast, and you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, just let me know when. We'll make it work.